we talk about, oh, we're being recorded, is not usually the first piece of leverage we'll talk about with a newer agent, but with an agent who's getting some traction in their business and needs to have certain things done in the background so that they can continue to grow their business and focus on their main jobs. And guys, a real estate agent's job is practicing scripts and dialogues, setting and going on appointments, negotiating contracts, right? These are some of our jobs. Also following up. If you're not doing those things and you're doing other things, then you're not focusing on money producing activities, right? And so we need leverage. We need to figure out how to get leverage. And that's why we have Tracey here with us today. I am going to introduce Tracey Westendorp. Now, Tracey, did I say that right?
It's Westendorp.
Westendorp. Okay, got it.
Hi, Cari.
Hey, Cari, welcome in from home.
I'm here.
Tracey Westendorp.
Here's Beebs in the Trap by Travis Scott.
Oh my gosh, my Siri just started talking to me. We're a hot mess today. I'm going to tell you, Tracey, sorry, this is not normal. Let me get off this. I have no idea what's happening. Okay, there we go. I'm just off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I understand.
Can you guys hear Siri talking?
It's talking to you, and I'm still in my workout clothes.
I just want to eat in a lead for some Jolly Rancher ham, explain the satching my clothes, the little right home, lines like a teen.
What is Siri telling you to do? Get up and work out?
Maybe it's like playing music for her now. That is hilarious. That's so awesome. I'm super excited because Tracey is a partner of mine in Minnesota, and I've known her for years, right, Tracey? I mean, my gosh, we have had the same path in real estate for the last 20 some years, which is just crazy. And when she joined us at EXP, she, was talking about all of the success with VAs and maybe starting a little bit of a business, and she didn't know. And then ever since she's been with us, it's been awesome because she's had all these opportunities to grow this business. And we always joke about now putting her actual college degree at play because it was international management. So that totally makes sense, right? And so, but truly, Tracey has helped many people just in the last, 5 months or so, find the right VA, train them, and really kind of help them to figure out how do they use that in their business. And I think that so many people are nervous of a virtual assistant. I know I have one. But I was, because I already know that I'm not that great at training people the way it is from a logistical perspective. And then I thought, how in the heck am I going to do that for somebody that's not even sitting next to me? And so that's, a lot of the same questions I think come up for real estate professionals, and that's what holds them back. So we wanted Tracey to come on today and really just share her best practices, what she's seeing, answer questions for you guys as well, because she's got a lot of expertise. Becky, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, no, actually, I don't know if you read through her bio while I had to jump off and come back in. All right, I am now going to formally introduce Tracey. I apologize for that, guys. Here I was talking about how good I was at getting multitasking technology. So Tracey Westendorp is the team leader of Westendorp Real Estate Team and has been serving her clients at a high level since 2004. So we've got some track record in the business for a while. Tracey lives in Minnesota with her husband and real estate partner, Chris. They have 3 young adult daughters, Maddie, Abby, and Ellie. Tracey is the owner of Next Level VA. Write that down. Next Level VA, a company that helps real estate agents and small business owners hire and onboard international virtual assistants. Their specialty is helping their clients find assistants who will have the initial tools to make an impact right away in the areas of social media, transaction coordination, and general admin and tasks. Tracey, welcome. We're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. And I really believe that this is a very important conversation because we can hire VAs when we're at any level of our business, right? As long as they're taking away tasks that are taking us away from our income producing activities, which is talking to sellers and buyers and future sellers and buyers about real estate, setting appointments, negotiating deals, and closing homes. So Tracey, tell us a little bit about what was it about the virtual assistant space that you thought was an amazing opportunity for you to get involved in and really help other business owners, including real estate agents, support their business through virtual assistants?
Sure. So it was a couple of years ago, I was struggling with social media. It was one of those things for myself where it's like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I did it for a day, and then it just never seemed to take traction. And so I decided I was going to find someone to help me with social media. Along with that, the company I used to work with used virtual assistants to do a lot of their audit work and a lot of behind the scenes paperwork. And it was COVID time, so everything was virtual, right? So at first it took me a while to realize that the virtual assistant or the person helping with audit was actually across the world. So those two things together just put me down a virtual assistant rabbit hole. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hire someone part-time to help me with social media. The more I investigated it and the opportunities involved in it, I ended up hiring somebody full-time from the Philippines to be my partner in terms of getting my administrative things going. At that time, I did not have a really good social media running. I was inconsistent with, my marketing. I had database stuff that, oh my gosh, my database had been sitting there and needing to be scrubbed and fixed for probably years. And so she came on board and helped me tremendously. And so as I, had some success with that, I started talking with other agents who noticed my social media adjusting and my freedom that I felt a little bit more. And so I started helping other people to find that person for themselves too, because there's many different ways to go about finding a VA.
You know what? I'd love to jump in and talk about that. And guys, hang on, because we're going to get into some of the thoughts around hiring a VA. I feel like I need someone in-house versus, how is this person going to help me? They're such a long way away. What does that mean? What time is that going to take for me? We're going to get there for that, because those are all legitimate and valid questions. And they're always sitting in the back of your mind when you're thinking about hiring someone who especially is an international VA, right? But before we get into that, Tracey, there are a lot of ways to find a VA. You can go through a company like yours. You can actually, I think I sent you this question. It was like, you can kind of just go out and do it yourself, the DIY way, right? Like just figure that out. What would be the benefits of each or the cons of each? I'll just let you take that question and run with it. How do you find them? What's the safest way to find them?
Can I share my screen, Becky?
Yeah, I'd love to give you co-host abilities and let you do that. Hold on 1 second.
I think I hear it.
Oh, are you already co-host? Perfect. There you go.
Yes.
Beautiful. You are. Go.
So I just have a few slides that can help just sort of guide us through the process here and answer some questions as we go. We kind of jumped ahead. One thing about a virtual assistant is there's many different, virtual assistant means different things to different people. Oftentimes the first virtual assistant an agent will hire is actually a transaction coordinator. And that's someone that's basically a virtual assistant is an independent contractor who does not work in the same office as you. And we've become used to that sort of world. And I'm going to jump over here because Becky asked this question. Where can you find a VA? So I mentioned that I went down this rabbit hole trying to find somebody. You can just hire a transaction coordinator. There's many different services for that, or individuals doing that work. You can hire a social media specialist if that's your thing that you need. Either a company to do customized work or an agent or somebody who can just give you content. What I found with that is it was really expensive to hire customized work, or it was a very cookie cutter if it was cost effective. You can also hire a virtual assistant that's based in the United States, just like hiring any employee, which I have had. Years ago, I had a full-time in-house assistant that I think I spent like $40,000 for the year for her. And it was just really expensive. I loved a lot about it, but the amount of growth I had to have like right away was just too much. So you can hire a VA to do based in the US, maybe a friend or a colleague to do that. Now with the Philippines, I hire from the Philippines, and there's many different ways that you can find someone from there. I would recommend finding a company to help you. If it's your first VA, it's probably best to work through a company to have some assistance in helping you understand the ins and outs of working with a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. You can hire a company that will assign a VA to you, and that VA actually works for the company. And then you pay still a lower price than you would if you were hiring someone full time. But that person doesn't necessarily work just for you. They might work for more than one agent. Mm-hmm. And you may not have things as specialized as you want because they really work for that other company. There's other companies out there that help you to find a VA, vet them through the process, and then go through the hiring process, and even provide some training for your virtual assistant. And honestly, it's sort of it could be a mentorship or a training for you, because when you bring someone into your team and you've never had systems and stuff, it's the ultimate accountability, and you need to like figure out how to train that person. So sometimes it's not about the VA or the person that's coming on the team. It's you as an agent knowing what your systems are or creating them as you go. That if you hire a company that helps you onboard someone, then you pay that virtual assistant directly. They work for you directly, and it ends up being a little less expensive, actually a lot less expensive. Okay. You can also run ads through some different sites in the Philippines or other countries to just run an ad and get applicants. I'll tell you, when I run an ad for VAs, I get about 200 applications. And we take 200 applications and whittle it down to maybe 15 that we interview. And 5 of them will get vetted through that process to be interviewed, recommended. So it's a funnel for sure.
Yeah. Who has time for that? Not me. Not I.
Do you have any questions about that, Becky? Any follow up from that piece?
Yeah. And so I guess my question would be is for next level, which ones of these would next level fall in?
Oh, well, our next level VA is this. We are a placement company. So our offering is we help you, and we really specialize with people who've never had a VA before. We're here. I get it. I totally get how scary it is and all that stuff. You may not be organized. You may be whatever. And so for a fee, then I will do it. Myself and my virtual assistants will take intake of what are your systems, what types of things do you need, what are your priorities in the process. Because in order to prepare for VA, you need to just think about, what do I need help with? The clearer you can be, the more easy it is to onboard somebody. But you might not be ready to be clear on that yet. And so what we do, we provide some support for a couple months to help suss out what needs to happen. And maybe you don't have a good system for your social media. We might help you get that set up with that new VA and be sort of a troubleshooter with you. But that VA actually works for you directly. And so you pay them directly and all that, but we're just there for some support to start out and provide some training up front.
Tracey, can I just say something real quick about that?
Mm-hmm.
For any of you that are listening, I have hired many VAs. I know Cari has worked with many VAs. We all have. And you just said something that I don't know that I've ever heard before. You actually work with someone in advance to get systems set up, to get things put together so that when you pull that VA in, there are systems and processes maybe already in place so that VA can be successful. Is that what I just heard you say?
I wouldn't say that we get it all set up ahead of time. because sometimes people want to get that VA on, and we're not providing you with services or those systems, but I'll have conversations with you about what you're doing, what you might need to do, what projects might be your highest priority, and help troubleshoot through those.
That's still great, because in most cases you just go and you hire someone, but you really don't know what you need or what you don't need, right? So I think that service that you provide up front to help folks get ready, or in the process have a successful base for bringing someone in, is incredible. So that's great. Love that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, it just starts out with a brainstorm, and that's why I have like consider all these different things that have administrative tasks assigned to them. And then you'll find which item is your one that you need the most help with. And we use that as sort of a guide to help you select your person. So if you want someone to do all 3 items, you can get that. And certainly we hire VAs to do that a lot. But we'll try to find someone that really knows transaction coordinating if that's where you need the most help, or social media if that's where you are struggling the most, so that they can come and get going right away.
Perfect. So Tracey, yep, that's where I was going next. Tips to successfully onboard a virtual assistant. You read my mind. I was going to ask you, how do we get someone in that and onboard them successfully, right? So that the turnover is lower. We set the right expectations up front. So looking forward to hearing this.
Yeah. So the first thing is to get clear about what you're looking for. Have a list of your transaction or your items, that the task that you want, like I mentioned in the other slide. And I'll get back to that in a minute. But one of the biggest things is to be available those first couple of weeks. As agents, we're busy and we have appointment, but it's really important to be available, at least to be able to touch base a few times for the first week, a few times, so that you can touch base and get to know that person. The more communication, like in any team, the more communication you have, the more successful your relationship's going to be. So setting up a daily or weekly communication is very important. And the more you do that, the more easy it is to just keep your processes getting better and better. Most of the virtual assistants, or a good VA that we're looking for you, appreciates feedback. They want honest, specific feedback. Most of the VAs that I've worked with are super loyal. They want to do a good job. They want to help you build your business. And so we encourage them when we bring them on as well, to just know that their client, which would be you, is going to be giving you feedback. That happens especially with social media, because they're not mind readers. But so it takes a while to kind of figure out what kind of tone you want to set. When I hired my VA, I didn't even know that for Instagram, you should have like a color scheme going on. Like, I had to learn a lot, and we worked at all the things like that. So if you use Loom video or any sort of process, have any sort of written procedures, the more you have for procedures, the easier it will be. If you don't have the video and the procedures, then just be prepared to work on that stuff and work with your VA to figure it out so they can create a system. Eventually, you're going to get busy, and you'll be surprised how quickly they take on tasks. And you may forget actually what you actually assigned them to do. Or I mean, having something like a Trello or Asana, Google Sheets, just keep organized about what you assigned to them. And future projects too, because maybe you don't have time to do it now, but next month there's going to be some time, and then you're ready to give them that next task. When you do bring somebody on board, we would ask you to assign the tasks priority. Which ones do you want them to learn the first couple weeks, and then soon after that, and then eventually? Because that's different for every agent in terms of importance. And again, back to what I've just said, your VA will get things done faster than you might think. Another great tip is to have like a big project or two that the VA can work on if things get a little slow and they can't get a hold of you. Like my biggest first project is go through all my email. She went through all my email the first thing. The next big thing she did was she looked up missing phone numbers and emails and all that stuff from my database. You know, a larger project that they can kind of keep working on. Most likely it's a project that's been sitting on your desk for a while that you've been meaning to get to. You just don't get to it. Like any person on a team, the VA really loves appreciation. So showing appreciation, checking in, getting to know them a little bit, all those things can help with a successful onboarding process.
Do you have like I'm sorry, I want to kind of ask a question about that. So do you have like recommendations around how to set goals around for like additional bonuses and different things like that? Because you know that's pretty important. I don't know if that's something that you recommend for VAs. And I mean, it could be $100, $200, that sort of thing. What are your thoughts around that?
So what is a challenge is you can't bring your VA a cup of coffee just to show appreciation, right? So a bonus here and there is really, I found, other than a verbal appreciation, a really good way to appreciate. So for example, when my VA gets $5 for every testimonial we get, because that was one of my downfalls. And so, you know, she like on it and she works for it, and we have a lot more testimonials than we used to have. That's for sure.
Great.
After a big project or something that they really went above and beyond, then giving a bonus is completely appropriate.
You know, what I love about what you just said and talking about how we use that practically, if you're really kind of listening to this and saying, okay, other than just taking care of admin items for me, what can this VA do to help me grow my business? You know, what I think is really important, you've said two things, is as we get back to basics, you know, people are in different markets in different areas. You might be in a market that's moving real fast, while I might be in a market that's moving slow. I mean, the market I'm in is actually slowed down quite a bit. And so we have to get back to the basics of our database, of reviews. People now are slowing down, and so they're taking more time to look at things like that. So I love it that you said that, because reviews and your database and getting back to a systematic process in your database is so important. And that's how a VA can actually help you grow your business. I love that part. That's great.
Yeah, and for example, other things that a VA could do for you in that realm was like my VA sends out brownies to my past clients on their home anniversaries. And that is so systematized that I actually completely forget about it. And I'll go to church and some person that I barely ever talked to, but was my client, says, "Oh, thanks for the brownies." And I'm like, "You're welcome."
Okay. What is your name, by the way?
I mean, I know them, but he's the quieter one of the group, you know?
Love it. That's great. That's true leverage, right? When something happens in the background, you don't even know it's happening, and it's growing your business.
Mm-hmm. And so there's that. You can also use, your VA can help you with some recruiting efforts. If you need data collected, or you need to go through lists or things like that, follow up. They're great with follow up. You know, if you want them to do text responses or even phone calls. If you, I don't have them doing phone call follow up, but a lot of VAs actually have call center experience and even ISA experience. So doing some general follow-up and such is certainly something that they can help with, check-ins and stuff like that.
That's great.
Let's see.
Did we miss anything on the slides? There we go. The benefits.
One thing, I don't think, I kind of jumped right into the VA a little bit, but the cost savings is absolutely incredible. When I started looking at the virtual assistant, and I was a little afraid to do it at first, but for what I could pay in a virtual assistant, the risk was a lot less, because I can like, okay, I can put this much money aside and pay this VA for a year. Whereas it'd be harder to do that for an executive assistant that comes in and works for you full time for $40,000. I don't even know what it is right now, but I do know people are having trouble finding admin workers or people who can do work and make it affordable.
Yeah.
So
In the area, it's around 60,000.
yeah, and like it's just mind blowing, right? Because my VA was a few years ago, or my assistant that I had in office was gone, or yeah, it was less expensive 5 years ago. So obviously, if you have leverage, everyone is always talking about leverage. You have more time to focus on your clients and gain back your personal time.
Mhm.
One of the cool things that happened to me that I realized that it was working is I negotiated a purchase agreement, finished it up at 10 o'clock at night. It was in the final PA had come in to my email.
Mm.
And then I had a meeting first thing in the morning, and I went to that meeting and I never even talked to my virtual assistant. I got out of the meeting at 10:30 in the morning, and there was a voicemail from the lender. Congratulations on your sale. I'm really happy to hear you got a purchase agreement put together for the Andersons. And I'm like, how does she know that? Well, the VA, Nikki, who's actually on the call, she had gone into the email. She saw we had a purchase agreement agreed to. She took it. And by the time I was in that meeting, it was already to the lender, it was already to the title. She's already sending it back out to our clients. Here's a copy of your purchase agreement.
Mm.
And that was just amazing.
Yeah. That's when you know it works, because you're just like, wow, didn't really understand what I get back in time until that actually just happens without me thinking about it. And then the first time it happens, it's a feeling you never forget, especially if you've not had the opportunity at having this kind of leverage before. And also, I love it that you have on this slide, better service for your buyers and sellers, because many times if you're just not able to get back to them quickly enough with those types of things, they automatically, their mind goes to, they don't matter as much, or is my agent on top of things? They just start questioning. They want immediate service. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and things your virtual assistants, many of them, especially if you've kind of developed this relationship, will come up with new ways to delight your clients. I had one client who wanted a disclosure with every house we showed. So I asked Nikki to send one out, and then she always did it for this client. Well, then she started doing it for more of my clients. And I talked to that particular client. They're like, I love getting a message from Nikki. It's so friendly. And it's like, I'm not always the friendly one. So I'm kind of, so just like throwing that extra little personality is, my clients are delighted, and it makes me happy for them.
That's great. That's great.
The accountability is a big one, because when you have someone on your team that's looking up to you for instruction and work, you become accountable to your business and start treating it like a business for sure. Because you need to get it systematized in order to not be interrupted all the time, for one. And you just, by having that extra person, having a virtual assistant that cared about my business and worked with me and, was doing all these things, it was, I love coaching, and I've been to use a lot of coaches, but that was like ultimate accountability, is having my VA join me.
Tracey, I'm just wondering, when you've seen from your experience the VA and agent relationship not work, what's gone wrong?
Probably the number one thing is not being available.
Mm-hmm.
We interview a lot of virtual assistants that have been virtual assistants for other people, for other realtors. And I'd say the number one thing I hear, and I've probably seen in my own business, is the agent isn't available to answer questions or provide some feedback to the virtual assistant. So being available is really key, especially in the beginning when you're creating your processes. So being available, and then being clear about what you're looking for. The more data you have, it's easier to, put that information in somebody else's head. Most virtual assistants come having had very good experience or very good training in other industries where it's very specific. So they can follow a Loom video, or they should be able to, or a written procedure really well. If you don't have that written, then you need to be more available and willing to work on it. If you have more procedures, it's easier to do that handoff faster.
So guys, we want to take some questions for you and see what questions you have for Tracey, especially as you're looking at your business now and you're saying, okay, I'm so busy that my customer service is maybe falling off, right? Or maybe I actually need more time for lead generation, but I've got all of these other admin tasks I'm doing, and I'm just not so sure that this, what I can do here, is this the right thing for me? Do I have enough money for this? What are the options? So please put your questions, if you have any, in the chat box, or just come online and we'll talk about them. But the question I have for Tracey that I get a lot from my own clients is, when I suggest that they seek out a VA, they ask, well, do I have to do full-time? Can I do part-time? Can I do just a few hours? So can you talk a little bit about what your next level VA offers in terms of that?
So typically we are looking for a virtual assistant that's full-time. We have hired a couple part-time. Part-time VAs also have other people that they're working with. And so you're kind of splitting your time a little bit with somebody else, which is a little more difficult to manage. Primarily full-time tends to be a little bit better. And they're going to be, a lot of our applicants are looking for full-time. So if they accept a part-time job, then you're more at risk that they're going to find a full-time position and leave. You could probably afford to pay, if you went through our process, you could probably hire a VA with one of your closing for a year. I mean, we are virtual assistants through earn about $3 to $5 an hour, and if you hire them directly. If you use a service where you're paying the service to oversee your VAs, then it's probably double that.
Got it. I love what you just said. Look at this from an abundance standpoint, not a scarcity standpoint, right? It takes one closing to pay for one VA, full-time VA, for 12 months out of the year. Now, if that VA could help you release you from enough obligation to allow you to get one additional piece of business, wouldn't it then be worth it? And the answer is yes, right? I mean, it certainly is yes. So I like that. I like that analogy that you just made. We do have a question from Lisa Creed, Tracey. And Lisa's on the, you can find her picture, and she's actually on there. She asks, can you talk about the transaction coordination capacity for transactions? So I think what you're asking, Lisa, is really how many transactions can they handle? Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at is, I've seen some flags of when, maybe they have too many. They have too many, because it is a shared agent thing, and so it seems like, and I'm usually the one that is overseeing the transaction coordinator for the agent. And so when things are starting to kind of slip, or maybe they have too many transactions, we had, for instance, we had 6 pending transactions this month. And it seems like some balls got dropped. And so I'm just trying to figure out if you have a benchmark maybe for what that capacity should look like for a seasoned transaction coordinator. We've kind of tried to find somebody who was, regionally specific, so they would be familiar with our contracts. And we've tried others where they are, they are familiar with the contracts, but they're not local to our area.
Well, that's an excellent question, Lisa. I'll be honest, I don't have a benchmark at this point because we don't have enough VAs in our process right now that are doing a lot of volume. Yeah, I mean, they're doing transactions, but to hit like a capacity overload like that, we're a fairly new company. So, I mean, 6 transactions we should certainly be able to do 6 transactions pending. I mean, my virtual assistant was able to do that, and all the other things like sending brownies and do the listing management and do all that stuff. So,
yeah, we're just kind of jumping into this virtual assistant world and this transaction. I've used a transaction coordinator for a lot of years, but they were very specific to the process and all that. So anyway, it's just, this is a kind of a generic transaction coordination company. And so we have one transaction coordinator that is helping us. And so we have that ability to add another one if we want to, but that's going to basically double the cost. So it may not be a good fit. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. The VAs do transaction coordinating, and we could find people to do just transaction coordinating. There are people, I mean, I have some applicants that have done transaction coordinating for 15 people. I mean, a lot of people supporting. So
that has been my experience too. So that's why I say there's been just some flags. And so I kind of wondered if there was, if somebody kind of knew, probably, they shouldn't be trying to work more than 5 agents at a time or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to find answers. But my other question was about KV Core cleanup. And the questions that are coming up to this cleanup are gonna be agent specific. So how do we keep him out of it?
I think that's a pretty detailed question that, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it in detail because I feel like I have a lot of follow-up questions.
Okay.
Because that sounds, especially with a specific cleanup for KV Core there. I mean, we have people who know KV Core really well. And if a virtual assistant is using technology that you're not as familiar with, it's new to you or new to them, then they are diving in to find out more. They're doing a lot of behind the scenes troubleshooting, calling support, looking for videos, talking to other VAs to help solve the problem.
Right. You had just mentioned that one of the big projects was cleaning up your database, kind of as an ongoing time filler thing. And so that has been, I would love to offload that to somebody, anybody, pretty much, and tomorrow or today, and that would be awesome. But the thing that I keep having to overcome is, okay, I don't know this person. I don't know, the specific to, did they close? Were they, all the things that need to earn a hashtag or a whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, I think, Lisa, these are all amazing questions. And I think that is exactly why when you find a company that is going to be able to kind of drill down into those things with you, because certainly I think it'd probably be worth maybe setting up some time with Tracey and seeing what they have to offer and what they can do. Because here's the thing, you can go with a larger company that has VAs that they'll bring in. But what I like about a smaller company, like what Tracey has right now, she said they're just getting out of the gate, they're getting going, but she obviously has a lot of experience, is that they can provide you with some more, time and service. So Tracey,
we are at that cusp. I would love to.
Good.
Well, my email is right here.
I gotcha. I've already saved all these slides. You can
send me a message. We do not have Facebook or any of that yet, But we, feel free, send us an email and we can set up a time, and I'd love to chat it out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because we are now at that cusp of where I believe we need a fuller time person who is only specific, and the conversation that I'm having back and forth is, I don't, the agent wants to hire somebody to, come into an office and be monitored. And I'm like, this is not that 90s, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay, great. Well, Tracey, we are at the end. This call runs for 45 minutes. I appreciate, and Cari appreciates, and the Family Tree audience appreciates you giving us your time. I'm hopeful that, Lisa, you're going to be able to reach out to Tracey, and it'll be a great
I will.
conversation. You know what? I love it, Tracey, that you are providing this service, because it is a huge service for people. And if we can just get out of the mindset of someone's going to be sitting right beside us and partner with someone like you, Tracey, that can say, hey, this is what you need to do to get ready to be in relationship with someone that you can hire for one closing a year. Wow. It's certainly worth it to explode your business to the next level. So if you guys have more questions for Tracey, please be sure to reach out to her at Tracey@nextlevelnowva.com, or her directly at Tracey@Westendorp Real Estate. And Tracey, can they just work chat you on Workplace as well?
Yep.
So you can find Tracey on Workplace. You can just work chat her, Tracey Westendorp. Tracey, thank you so much. Cari, did you want to add anything?
No, this is fantastic. I mean, you guys, here's the thing. As we are moving into a little bit of a different market, there's a lot of people thinking, number one, I need to be doing more. You need to do more to get your transactions now. And you have to do more to make sure that they close today. In any kind of a shifting or changing market, that's reality. So if you know you have to do more, but you want to keep more of your money, I mean, a virtual assistant just makes sense. But you can't let fear hold you back. And you have to have somebody like Tracey, who has had a lot of success with it, that understands the pitfalls, that can help guide you through it, help you find the right solutions, ask yourself the right questions. And a lot of these large VA companies are great, but they're really big and they're not as personal.
Customer-centric, yes.
Yeah. And so, you just get a VA and then you don't know what to do with them, and nobody trains them, and it's very overwhelming and it's more expensive. And so I feel like with Tracey's background, her personality, her demeanor, her behavioral style, all the things I know about her, and then the success she's personally grown her, her business with over the years, this can be a really different experience for you if you've been considering a VA and maybe just haven't had a chance to find the right fit of someone who could help you. And she's been helping other of our partners, and they've had really great feedback and success. And that's why I wanted her to come on today. And I'm just excited for her, because you guys, the other last thing I want to say is, Tracey's been in the business for 20 some years, just like me. She's been in a few different brokerages, just like me. We actually follow the same path of brokerages too, which is funny. She always has had such leadership qualities. And every time I would work with her, coach with her when I was the team leader, she has a very different behavioral style than the average real estate agent, in a good way. Very organized, very methodical, very analytical, always had her goals set, newer numbers, the things that most realtors don't do. And I always admired that about Tracey, because that's not my personality. It's not my natural behavioral style. So I always admired that about her. And we always had really good coaching conversations, and I always learned from her and whatnot. And when she came over to EXP, I just said, we have something different here in Minnesota. We're really collaborating. I really think that you could do something in here. And I didn't know about her vision for the VA company, but she's now said to me a couple of times, I haven't had as much energy about my business in so long as I do now, because she gets to level up and do something else alongside her real estate career that brings her joy, and really using her skills and all of her experience and helping others. And so I just think it's awesome to be able to find ways within EXP too, that we can re-energize our business and help each other and come from places of contribution in our joy zone while we sell real estate. And there's just so much entrepreneurial opportunities in this company. And so I just want to put that little thing in there, because it's exciting for me to watch and vicariously experience it through Tracey, but it's also just another example of why I really enjoy being in this environment. So Tracey is also going to be doing a really cool challenge is leaving the country pretty soon. Tracy, tell us what you're doing because it is super
Yes, it's right.
inspirational.
So when I came to EXP, I don't know what happened to me, but I was like inspired to do things. And I have had a goal for like 10 years to walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain. It's a pilgrimage. And so I just decided to go this spring and walk 95 miles over 8 days. My sister and I are going. I'm going to unplug from real estate for the first time for 2 weeks. And I feel good about it, knowing I have leverage and backup. And it's really one of those long-term goals that it's been on every health goal I've had for 10 years. It's been on every goal on my business goal. It's just like, this is something I want to do. I'm super pumped.
And she's finally doing it.
Wow. Yay. That's like 12 miles a day.
Yes.
Oh my God.
For 8 consecutive days. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. And look,
So we're going to watch her journey. So you guys follow Tracey Westendorp because we should all be rooting her on. And because you guys, if you've had something on your goal list for 10 years and you haven't done it yet, use her as some inspiration to go, I'm just going to do this. Like,
right.
I think that's awesome.
Jump right in. So
Super
good.
fun.
I love that.
I love the EXP energy. It's amazing. I love it. And everyone, I didn't expect to talk, honestly, I didn't expect to talk so much about next level VA so much, but if you are going down this path and you just want to talk about the choices, I'm happy to talk about it. My favorite part about doing the next level VA business is meeting people from all over the country and the world. And I just love it. It's just been a blast.
Yeah.
So give me a call.
That would be awesome. Tracy's here just to help. And, if you just want somebody to just say, am I thinking about this right? Should I even do a VA? I mean, she's not high pressure and she would definitely be a great resource for you because she helps people do that all the time. So hopefully you guys found this valuable. If you guys need anything, please let us know. You know how to work chat, all of us. We appreciate you being here. For those of you that are in our revenue share group, Becky and I have our group coaching tomorrow, 30 minutes.
Yep.
We're doing hard hitting accountability, bring your numbers.
Yep.
It's revenue share and team building goals. So come if you can. Otherwise, we'll see you guys the following Monday. We've got a great revenue share guest. So thanks so much.
All right.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks a lot.
Tracy.
Bye-bye.